This is a video tutorial for section 6 of the slim trifold wallet fabric version. This is a very final video and it will be the construction of the exterior and the interior, putting everything together and completing this wallet. So the first thing you notice is I have my finished interior and my finished exterior. On my exterior, I have already placed my marks for my snap placements, one at the top and two at the bottom. Now I need to connect these two pieces together down at the lower edge. So I'm just going to swing this piece around so it's upside down. And I'm going to place the right sides together of the interior and the exterior. Now I have marked center on the back of my interior as well as on the right side of my exterior. I'm going to put a clip at those placement lines. I'm going to line them up. And then I'm going to go over to this side over here, and I'm going to make sure that my angled edge right there is exactly even with that folded edge of my exterior. I'm going to place a clip on that end, and I'm going to do the same over to this other side. Now, one thing you need to bear in mind is that this needs to be straight. So you can take a look and see everything should be aligned. If you have got a nice straight edge right here, this side of your interior and the edge of your exterior should align and be very straight. You need to make sure that is straight. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place a couple more clips along that lower edge to secure the exterior and the interior together. And now I'm going to go to my sewing machine and I'm going to stitch using 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. I want to back stitch really well here and here. So I'm going to go and stitch right across that whole section, connecting these two pieces together using 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. So I've gone ahead and stitched my exterior to my interior. So I've used the 1/4 inch seam allowance right here, and this is what your piece should now look like. You have your exterior and your interior all connected at the lower edge. Now what I like to do is I like to add a little bead of glue along this seam allowance, just a very light amount, and I'm going to smooth that out to make sure that it doesn't penetrate through the fabric. And then I'm going to pull or tug on this exterior portion and smooth that down so that you get a nice pressed edge right there. Now you will want to take a bit of time and make sure that everything is squared up. So this cutting mat here will show me how square I am. This whole area should be straight. So you can see that I've got a nice straight edge so that when I fold everything together it's going to align perfectly. I've gone ahead and I've punched out my two lower holes for my snap placement. Now I'm using ring snaps, line 20. These sections right here are the two lower portion. They are actually the male portion of the full set. Now in this male portion there are a female and a male piece. The male piece is the back piece, which has a shaft on it, as you can see, and this is the female piece that goes right on top of that shaft. So what you want to do is you want to place the male portion through the back part of your exterior, just like that, and then you're going to set that female portion on top and set it in place. Now I'm going to bring my my steel plate over so that I can set these in position. So once again, you should have that shaft showing through and then that female portion sitting on top. A couple of good hits like that, and that should set everything in place. You shouldn't be able to move that at all. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place that second one in, putting the male portion through, so you'll have the shaft poking through on the right side of your exterior. Place the female portion on, and then two good hits, just like that, and that sets everything in place. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take some double-sided tape, and we're going to place the double-sided tape along this edge right here and right here. Where you want to put that is just on the inside of that stitch line that you made connecting your piping to your exterior. So I'm going to start at the bottom. Now I'm using 1/4 inch tape. You can use 1/8 of an inch tape if you wish. It's totally up to you. I'm going to snip that just above that Craft Tex line right there. I'm going to add the piece to the other side. Now I'm not going to remove this paper off this tape just yet. What I would like to do is I'd like to fold this wallet so that you have your exterior face down and your lining is coming up and over top. Now you should be approximately 1/2 inch away from that edge to the edge of your exterior, not your piping edge, the edge of your exterior. So what you want to do is you want to kind of get a good measurement to make sure that you are about 1/2 inch. So I am 1/2 inch away from that area, so I am good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a clip in place. I'm going to kind of pull this down as tight as I can to this area, making sure that I have that space there. I'm going to place a clip on either side. I'm actually going to put 3 there. And then I'm going to place a clip right in here on this side right here. Just like that. And just like that. So I've got everything set in place. I might even put a clip up here just to keep it nice and even. So your wallet will be laying completely flat at this point because you haven't allowed for your gap yet. You're going to flip this piece over so you are seeing the right side of your exterior, and you're going to take a few pins. You're going to place a pin 1/2 inch, or sorry, 1/4 inch up from this bottom edge. So this is your bottom edge, and you're going to put a pin 1/4 inch up. Just like that. And then you're going to place a second pin at 3 3/8 inch up from that bottom edge. So 3 3/8 inch, and I'll just move this clip up a little bit, and I'm going to put a pin in there, just like that. I'm going to do the same thing over on the other side. So I've got 2 pins on either side, 1/4 inch up and 3 3/8 inch up. Now I'm going to reach in here and I'm going to pull off that paper now of that double-sided tape, and I'm going to press this together to make sure it's nicely connected. I'm going to do the same on the other side. Pull the paper off and then press this together. I'm going to go to the sewing machine and I'm going to begin stitching at that pin line. So basically I want to start right at that 1/4 inch line. I'm not going to back stitch. I'm just going to start and stop at these 2 pin lines. So I want to start down at this position and stop at that pin. I'm not going to back stitch. I'm going to give myself some long tails so that I can make sure that everything is tied off and in place. So I'm going to go to the machine now and I'm going to do both sides from here to here within those pin markings. So I've done my stitching and I now have 4 long thread tails. From this point to this point has been stitched, and I stitched 1/8 inch away from that existing stitch line, as you can see right there, and now I have these tails to deal with. So I'm going to unclip my wallet. I'm going to place this right side down just like this, and I'm going to flip back the interior away from the exterior, so I'm exposing the interior of your wallet. I'm going to take a pin and I'm going to pull both my threads of the area right around my credit card, not the lower ones. We'll deal with them in a minute. You want to pull those to the back, and you want to tie off in a couple of knots. You want to tie them fairly tight. 2 or 3 knots will do. And I'm going to do the same over to the other side. And now I'm going to tie these 2 threads together into the interior. Just gives it an extra little bit of support. A couple more knots, just like that. And sometimes I will take a little piece of Scotch tape and I will just tape that down so it doesn't move. So that covers these 2 upper areas of your thread. Now we're going to deal with the lower portion. What we want to do is you want to do a tack stitch just like you did on your zipper overlay, your accordion. You just want to kind of go around and around and around, and then bury your threads and get a nice stitch around that outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread my needle, and I'm using a long doll needle, 4-inch or 5-inch I do believe, and I'm just going to begin by going into that last hole and coming through on the other side of that hole. I want to do a tack stitch around. Now the first stitch is going to end up being just 1 thread, and you don't want to pull it so tight that it sucks it in either. You want to make sure that they're all sitting right on top of each other. And I'm going to do 3 to 4 stitches around, and then I'm going to bury my thread between my 2 layers. So I'll go and I'll complete this side, and then I'll do the other side, and then we'll get ready for the next section. So both my tack stitches are complete, as you can see along the side. So there's 1 to that side and 1 to that side. This just gives you a nice finish on the sides of the wallet. Now I've also gone ahead and placed 2 more pins on both sides, 4 3/8 of an inch up from the bottom on both sides. We're going to flip this piece over to the wrong side so that the right side of your wallet is down. Now I've also gone ahead and added some double-sided tape all the way around along the lip of the piping. Now you can use 1/8 of an inch tape if you are worried about this being caught in your stitch of your machine, but I'm using 1/4 of an inch, so I'm just leaving that on just for now. I won't be taking that off just yet. So what you want to do is you want to align that top folded edge with that top folded edge of your exterior. Now you are going to be kind of working blind here, so a nice way to help you is to place 1 pin through the piping on the exterior. So you want to align that pin with that fold and push it right through so you can actually see the pin on this side, just like that. So that if you place this interior right along that edge, you're aligning everything up according to what's on the outside. So we want to hold tight, and you want to make sure everything is centered. And I'm now going to place a clip, a couple of clips. Well, I'll start with 1 in the center, and then I'll do a couple on the side just to hold everything in place. And I'll remove my pin. So right at this point, your wallet is not laying flat. You've got a kind of a bowing to it. And if you look down the side, this is how it looks. You have this gap here, which is going to be down here. So what you want to do is you want to fold up this bottom portion. So you want to put your fingers right here. Just rest them gently. What you want to do is to create that gap that is going to allow this bottom portion to fold up nicely. So what's happening is this area up here should be laying flat. I'm going to take a clip, and I'm going to hold my hand down on the wallet, and I'm going to put a clip down connecting my interior to my exterior on that side, and the same as over here. Now if you were to open this up, you will notice that your pin right on the that you put on the exterior should be aligned perfectly with that piping of the upper section of your credit card. So what you want to do is you want to place a couple more clips along that area, just like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull away that double-sided tape. But before we do, I want to make sure that I have got everything clipped well in place, because we're going to be clipping and unclipping as we pull away the double-sided tape. So at this point, your wallet should be looking like this. I've clipped all the way around, and this bottom portion is up higher. You should have a gap right there down at the lower portion between your credit card pockets or your sections, so just you can actually put your finger in there. So what we want to do is you want to start pulling away the double-sided tape. You only want to pull it back to just above your credit card section. Now this can be a little tricky because you got to reach inside to get that. So I'm going to put my fingers tight onto this area. I'm going to pull back this tape off. There we go, I think I got it. I'm going to put this clip back. I'm going to pull this clip off and just go right to that section right there. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Now what I've gone ahead is, and I've gotten just this much of my tape, my paper off my tape. I'm going to press this area together well. You can fold that in half if you want and press it. If you have a hard time getting the tape off, just make sure that you bring the pin position back to aligning with that lower credit card section. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to continue all the way around by unclipping, pulling a bit of tape, and clipping it back in place. I don't want any shifting to happen, especially if you are working with 1/8 of an inch double-sided tape. That may not hold as well as your 1/4 of an inch tape. So I'm going to go ahead and continue all the way around the whole top of the wallet. Now all my tape is removed and I've pressed together these sections really, really well, and I keep a lot of clips on just in case, because not always does the double-sided tape hold well. So this is what your wallet should look like at this point. What you're going to do is you're going to go to the sewing machine and you're going to stitch from that pin mark. I'll bring that up a little bit closer. From that pin mark all the way around, staying 1/8 of an inch away from your existing stitch line that you did at the very beginning, and finishing right down at that other pin line. You're not going to back stitch before and after. You're going to pull the threads to the back and we're going to tie them off in between. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that. One tip though that you need to be aware of is that you may need to put some pressure on this gap area in order for you to get the pressure foot underneath your machine evenly. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go and stitch that and come back and we'll set the last snap, and that will complete this wallet. So I've completed my top stitching all the way around the exterior, going from pinpoint to pinpoint. I have pulled my threads to the inside of that gap area right there. So this one's still through. I've tied a knot in it, and now I'm going to bury my thread. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this thread tail and I'm just going to place it through that area. Try to get it between the Decaville light. I'm going to come up through the lining portion. I'm going to pull that thread tight so that I can seal that knot well inside, and I am going to snip this right there. Make sure you don't snip your interior lining though, because this is right at the end of what we need to finish. So there you have it. This is the way the wallet is going to look. I've already punched out the hole for my other snap, and I will show you that snap. This is the female portion of the ring snap. So right inside there's a ring that goes around, and that snaps around this male portion of the snap area. This is the exterior right here, and this is the interior. So this is the male portion of this set. So there's the shaft, and this is the female. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my steel plate over again, and I'm going to place the finished side, or the male side, through the exterior, just like that. And I am going to then push around that edge to make sure that that shaft is well exposed. I'm going to then place the female portion of that snap in place, and I'm kind of holding it with both of my fingers, and I am going to place the snap setter right down into that shaft and hit twice, just like that, so that it's locked into place. So this is a dome snap. Now there is a portion that you can put behind here to keep that dome, but I don't find it, I find sometimes if you miss, you could then get a mark in here. So to me it's not totally 100% something that I use, but you could use that yourself if you wish. So this is it. This is your slim trifold wallet. I'm going to fold it in half and snap it all in place, and you're ready to go. This is the wallet. This is the fabric version. You have the piping all the way around the exterior, and your zippered pocket right there, all nicely finished. And unsnap, and you have 5 credit card areas and 1 ID pocket, and 5 on this side, 1 ID pocket, a pocket for bills and receipts, and up here as well. So there you have it. This is the final section for the slim trifold wallet, and there you have it. I look forward to all of your pictures and all of your information in the Facebook group, and don't forget to join. Thank you very much, and until the next pattern.